Hello and welcome to another episode of IT Pro TV. I'm your host Mike Broderick, and with me today is Mr. Sean Oriano. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I can't complain. Here we are at IT Pro TV, getting ready to record another episode in our Kali Linux series. In this one, we're going to continue on. We've been talking about different ways to crack passwords, and we're going to jump on over and take a look at some of the online password cracking techniques. Now, this is when you don't have a hash value, you haven't used some of those other tools to dump a SAM file or intercepted some hashes with some sniffer type program. So you're up against a logon screen of some kind. A lot of times it's a web-based form or something like that I'm trying to log into. And so we're doing it online, right? We're actually going to the systems page and trying to hit it, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's really the big thing that differentiates it from offline, is that yes, we are actively engaging a target at this point, and with the idea that we are going to break the password. Usually, if you do something like this, it's you're usually pretty sure you can get the password and you can do it in a short period of time. Those are the type of things we're tending to look for. It doesn't mean it's only restricted to those situations, but those make good candidates for it. Because online, due to the way it is, you run a risk of being detected, and you run a risk of triggering system policy that will in turn stop that stop your attack from going any further. So you kind of want to figure out if this is like the best approach. But with that being said, there are still plenty of tools that can accomplish this online cracking of passwords, and can do it really well too. They're really adaptable and really powerful.
Yeah, he's referring to all those policies, the account lockout policies. Like in a Windows environment, you can only guess that password incorrectly so many times before maybe the account gets locked out. If they've bothered to turn that on, we probably need to figure out what that setting is. A lot of applications. You guys have been to web pages. I've locked myself out of my own web pages, by typing in the wrong password, forgetting that I changed it, and trying to log back in, and all of a sudden you get a message, your account cannot be used, please send us an email to reset your page, something like that. So a lot of systems do have that in place and that's exactly what they're trying to prevent, is password guessing, which is what we're trying to do. And so they try to limit how many guesses you can throw at it. They say, oh, wait a second, this isn't somebody that forgot their password. This is somebody trying to guess a password. We're going to stop it in its tracks. So, they've got a pretty good defense against it, but not everybody turns that on. And as you said, these tools have ways that they can maybe not necessarily defeat it, but avoid it or try to skate right under that policy.
Yeah, exactly. People have accounted for that because they know that these systems, they've put defenses in place specifically designed to thwart these types of attacks. So what they want to do is they want to make it so those mechanisms that are going to stop the attack don't get triggered, or they delay that as much as possible before they're caught.
Right.
So with that in mind, we have things like Medusa, THC Hydra. We've got just a bunch of different ones in this category. In fact, one of the ones I will show you, up here just for a moment to show you some of the options I have up on my screen. I have this is the GUI form of THC Hydra. THC Hydra, if you use that's strictly at the command line. Does the same thing as this will do, but someone's written this little simple GUI for it. And what this will do is when you run this X Hydra interface, you can see in here that you can you can have it go after a single target. You can put a comma delimited list of targets in there, or put a file in there that tells it what it's gonna strike at, what port it's gonna attach to. And take a look. It even supports IP6 if you've got that, so I can go over that protocol if you've got it. So you can tell it what port, and you can even tell it what protocol it's specifically going after, and you can see it supports a whole bunch of them out there. So we've got a big long list, so you can really fine tune it to the specific one. So we want to go after FTP. We've got FTP right there. All we got to do is just make sure it's going after the right port, and we're in a good spot. And then you can see we have other options down here if we choose to do that. You can see we got SSL support and if you really want to get involved, you can do the other ones that will tell you how many attempts it's taken, and it'll get that their verbosity, which will actually give you a lot of information on it. Passwords, here's your actual, when you go through and tell it, you can tell it what usernames to go through and passwords to go through. You can set a list, or if you have a dictionary file, you can do all that type of stuff. And then here's the stuff that we can really get into in these last couple tabs. Actually, I say last couple because this last one says start. Gee, I wonder what that's going to do. To talk about what we just said a moment ago, we have this tuning tab. If you take a look at this tuning tab, it is exactly what we were talking about, or Mike was talking about a second ago. That's what this is specifically designed to do, is adjust the way this engages the target, so it has less of a chance of actually triggering anything. So you can tweak that and see how well it works, and see if you want to get more aggressive or if you need to back off a bit. So
Well, I like that option there too, that allows you to stop if it's found something. Don't continue on through the list. Maybe you wanted to, maybe you want to look for other accounts, or you can have it say, oh, I found one that works, stop right there, because I can now gain access to the system and maybe do my privilege escalation. Maybe I don't need to take a chance on setting off alarms by continuing to guess those passwords.
yeah, absolutely. And then we've got other options in here for other things to specific protocols, and you could put those in. You can see we got the Cisco LDAP. That would be good for Active Directory type stuff. Not the only one that uses it, of course, but we have that. And then when you're ready to go, just click on your start button and or your start tab, and you'll start seeing it run with those parameters and start spitting out stuff there. And just go ahead and either watch the fun or come back in a bit and see what happes.
Either find some passwords or realize that the authorities are on the way. No.
yeah. It'll start to get they shove like a little thermometer type thing there as it goes along, or tells you.
If we're doing a pen test, though, we're trying to avoid setting off the alarms, right? Or maybe we report back that, hey, your system is pretty well tuned. I had trouble even getting my tools to function because of your password policies, or something like that. So we could report back either way.
Yeah, so that's that one. That's Hydra, and like I said, Medusa would do the same type of thing. Those aren't the only ones. We've got plenty of other tools that do this. But the thing I want to kind of point to when we're doing this, and we can kind of forget what we're doing here for a second on this in my virtual machine, to kind of get away from that. We've got this tool, we've got Hydra out here doing this stuff, and we have other tools that require word lists. What do you do if you actually need that word list? Like we said, you can download them if you want, but what if those aren't really adequate for what you're trying to accomplish? You need something a little more tailored to a specific environment. Well, that's been covered too. That's been covered through a tool known as Cool, if you want to call it that, CEWL. What this does, and I'm not gonna run the tool here, but I will. I'm not gonna run a tool and have it go through the process of generating a word list, but I'm just going to kind of tell you what it does and show you some of the options here in my virtual machine. So what we have up on my screen right now is I have a CEWL up here in this box. What this is you can see it's clearly a command line tool, and you can see all the options on how you can tell it to generate a word list. But what this is doing is, if you look at some of the options here, it starts giving you a clue of how this is working. You see that it has the double dash offsite. It's got as we go through, we can see proxy information and things like that. That's telling you that it's going out someplace to get information. And I told you this isn't a password cracker. This is something that generates a word list. So what this will do is if you target it towards a victim's site, what the hope is that when it goes through the victim's site, it will start spidering it and gathering information. Hopefully the information that it gathers can build a word list for you that's custom to that situation, and you can try that word list against the system to see if it generates anything of use to you or if it gets you in. So that's what Cool does, and who knows? I mean, there could be stuff on that site that may get you get you some action as far as getting in deeper into that site. That's kind of a neat thing, really, when you look at it. For the way I kind of position this, though, this is just me, is why I do see a value in this tool, having it spider a victim site and say, okay, I'm going to build a word list based off of what I find. I am probably going to take the list it has here and combine it with other lists too, just to kind of supplement those out to see if those don't work. Well, here's another pass it can do, but that's a little more exotic because this will generate words. Who knows if they're actually going to be successful? It may, it may not. Let's go ahead and kind of boost our chances a bit more if we can. So that's what Cool does. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about pointing it out to a site and have it generate the word list, because we're just going to be looking at it for a considerable amount of time as it spits all that out, and then we'll have a text file at the end. So we don't need to go through that.
Right.
So that's what that tool does. That is one of the offline tools that we can just go ahead and use.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so and it's not the only one. Yeah, it's not the only one that generates those lists though. So you do have other options if you want to generate those lists. So we're done with that. With Cool, there's not really much else to talk about there. If you want to try it, all the switches are right there, and you can go ahead and use it on your specific site and see, or your specific target, and see what it generates. Nice. But that's really it. It just goes through and we'll start pulling stuff out of there, see what it can do to generate an effective word list for you.
And these word lists are reusable, right? I mean, I don't have to generate one every time. As you say, typically if I think of something else or I want to add some more options in there, we just append it to the end. So we get that one master list. And most of the tools accept the same format, right? It's just one word on each line. That's what a dictionary file is, a text file with one word on each line. And it just goes one by one by one and trying them. So once you make that list, you can typically use it with several different cracking utilities. Any one of them that does that online guessing, you just tell it where that file is and point it to it. So it's something that you build up over time, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I would definitely consider just building a library of text files. I mean, you can store them on get a external hard drive or something. Just store them on there and keep them for later use. There's no reason why you couldn't. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that we talked about Cool. We talked about Hydra and X-Hydra. That's what I keep thinking of the Avengers when I see that. The Hail Hydra. But anyway. But then the last one on here for online is actually a brute forcing tool, and it's actually a really powerful one for doing online stuff because it works against different protocols and all that. Now, I like the name because I really like the name Potator. Let's get Potato out here. Right? So I just feel like I have to say it with that accent. But that's the name of it is Potato. And you can use that to break passwords. It will do brute force attacks against different services with the intention of breaking it. So that's just one more option that you have, and you can feed word lists and stuff like that into it too if you want to really customize how it works. But that's just another one that you can kind of throw into the mix to get the results that you want. But like I said, we can't go through all the actual password crackers that are on there. Some of them actually do require having that specific and a specific environment being set up. But we do have some nice ones in there. You can see we've got this, like I said, the Cisco stuff is on there. We've got some stuff for web applications. Plus some other things that are just kind of thrown in there that you can try out. We even have one this THC PPTP. So so something for VPNs.
right? Little point-to-point tunneling protocol.
Yeah, so you've got some neat stuff you can try and bring to bear. So there you go. Things you can actually work with and see what's being done. Most of these tools, just to be fair, except for the Cisco stuff, most of these tools you can use against any of those vulnerable machines that we had talked about. You can just grab any of those vulnerable machines, like Metasploitable, stuff like that, and just run them against them. And a lot of those things have simple stuff in there because they're built that way. And just play with them, see how it works. It doesn't take as much time, but it still takes some time.
Right. Very nice. All right, so we got our online password cracking utilities that we can use to do our password guessing. So on a previous episode, we got our offline password cracking tools that we can use. That should, hopefully, knock on wood, get us into our system, right?
Yeah, we've got. There are other ways we can get a password, but like we said, we're going to address those right here. The big one being the social engineering aspect of it. But since we have something that's already going to take care of that, we're not going to do it here. But there's one more mention of it just to make sure that you know that is there. But as far as the online and offline. Yeah, you know what they are, and you know what where the tools are, and now you can go ahead and kind of try them out yourselves and see what you get.
Very good, very good. All right, well, a lot of good information there. Sean, anything else we want to throw in on cracking passwords before we call it a wrap?
I just want to say potato one more time because I like it. But no, I don't.
It's going to be his favorite tool from now on. I know it is.
Have you guys seen potato?
But it was all fried by the time I got to it.
So, but yeah, I don't have really anything to add. I mean, because we talk. If you really want all the specifics, I guess it would be one thing to add. If you want all the specifics of password cracking, I mean that's we beat that to death in the CEH course. So now you're just seeing some tools that can do it. So if you need to clarify some of those a bit more. We've already been there, done that. So now we look at the tools. So just go ahead and start experimenting, really.
Yeah, start building those Word file lists. It's something you can do in your spare time, even before you need it. If you want to build your own rainbow tables, that's another thing that can take a lot of time. So if you want to build your own, or go out and buy that one that Sean was showing us earlier, but hey, start building those as well. You got a computer sitting in the corner doing nothing. Have it go and start building up your files for you. Then by the time you need it, you got a nice word list already ready, or a rainbow table, or whatever you need. So lots of good information there. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed watching this episode. We know we had a lot of fun filming it for you. But for now, signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm Mike Roderick.
And I'm Sean Ariano.
And we'll see you next time.